Good morning, everybody. This is Kpix with Badland Studio, checking in for Kinetic Void. This tutorial is going to be focusing on our D10 patch, which we just released last Monday. This patch is gigantic. I cannot tell you how many random things we fixed from prior patches and what things we've been added. I'm making a career mode called D10 Welcome, and I am going career for specific reasons. People say that in career you can't build a ship. However, you can. It's just that you can't build this crazy high-end ship. So I'm naming my ship Kpix D10, and I'm just going to start getting it built. Now, basic controls and functionality. Zoom in and out by using the mouse wheel on, well, your mouse. Hold shift and use the mouse wheel if you want to zoom fast. You can also do so by using the greater than and less than signs on your keyboard. Rotating the camera both in sector and shipyard, right click and drag. When you are in shipyard, you can click on your ship and you can actually just click and drag it around with your left mouse, and that will actually just move the whole piece. Subsystems, you add them by right clicking on a module, and you add them up till the quantity that you get a full point at. So we have 6 is our quantity full. I'm adding a sensor, which means we can see enemy spaceships, we can see asteroids, we can see mining stations, regular stations, everything like that. And I am going to add 1 piece of armor. Just 1. I'm keeping my ship pretty light, so there's that. This is a CNC module, also known as a cockpit or control module. Next up, I'm going to add some hull pieces, and I have 4 hull pieces that we start with, so I just get to pick and choose which ones of those I want to use. I'm going to make my ship pretty small, like I said, so basically I just want to be able to make it aesthetically pleasing for me. Now, the process that I'm going through here, E and Q is going to rotate the item. And if I press R, it's going to switch which of those little blue triangles is being lined up against the cockpit there. So if I want my ship to be a little bit shorter and wider, I can go with this approach here. So now we've attached a hull. I do have a couple other hull pieces that I can add on. And each hull piece is unique in that it adds a little bit of durability to your ship. And it also adds storage capacity, which is very handy. So let's see, we got that there. Let's see if we can hook up one at the top. I don't want those ones. I want... How's that look? Nope, it went too far back. I wanted to use a different one. How I'm getting into these menus is I'm just right-clicking on the modules. And then I am just opening up that little menu, which automatically opens whenever you right click. There we go. Is this the one that I want? There we go. I just need to move it down 1 notch. Alright, fine. Whatever. That works. So I look like I have a little catcher's mitt on my ship. That's fine. I have 1 more hull piece, and I'm just going to lay this one right in the middle. If I have... Do I not have nodes on the side? I do not. Okay, so I won't be able to lay it in the middle. In that case, I'm going to have it... I'm going to press tab. That means I can use freeform now. And I can make this little guy stand up at the back. Alright, so it's a weird looking ship. Never said that I was good at building them. I'm going to add my engines, which are pretty self-explanatory. They're important because they make my ship go forward. Okay. Engines do have subsystems that you need to add. These subsystems are what actually give them thrust. And as I'm adding these subsystems, you can see that my forward thrust, and then I have pitch, side, roll, and backwards. Those are all increasing. The goal is to have more forward thrust than mass of your ship. It's actually a requirement. So if you don't have enough forward thrust, your ship will not move and you will not be able to go through space. the hull subsystems that we need a cargo bay if we're going to be putting ammo on our ship. That's anything that's a kinetic weapon or a missile, whether it's guided or non-guided. Those all need to have cargo space. We need a kinetic field generator. It will not let you launch if you don't have one. And we're going to need reactors. Our power needed is 510, so we just need to make sure that we are past that point. Now we do have a couple leftover subsystems, and I'll show you what you can do with those in a minute. Next up, we're going to add our weapon, and you only start with one weapon. And it varies, so if you don't like how it looks, you can go to a different galaxy and see if you start with a different one, or you can even buy a different one. But for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to use the one that came with it, and I'm going to see if I can get it so it actually fits properly somewhere on this ship. Alright, here we go. Not on the bottom, on the side. There we go. Alright, so when you have a weapon placed, you go to its subsystems. To open subsystems, again, right click, go to subsystem. And here's all your different weapon types. You have a kinetic chain gun and a rail burst cannon. These two are both kinetic weapons. That means they use pretty much traditional bullets, if you want to think of them like that. Next up, we have the X-beam emitter. That uses energy weapons, so that means it is shooting lasers. The next three missiles systems that we have are all missiles. We have the Stinger missile system, the Beluga, and then the Viper. The Beluga is the only one that is a non-guided missile, so that means it's just going to shoot wherever. For our purposes today, I am going to use a kinetic weapon, so I'm going to attach the rail burst cannon. Now, you don't see anything different with this. If you do go to the store and you buy a hard point, however, that looks a little different, and I'll show you guys how that works out. So our inventory, we have available subsystems here on the right. This is all what's in this particular station. So if it's not on our ship, it's just in the station. It's kind of like going to an auto body shop. They have all this stuff there. Whether or not you use it on your vehicle is totally up to you. I'm going to go to the store now. That's this bottom right corner. And here's all the parts that the guy has for sale. Click on subsystems and ship parts or trade goods. Trade goods, ammo. That's obviously very important for us. So we're going to buy 1,000 rounds of kinetic ammo. Then we have our guided ammo. Now, we don't actually have a guided ship or a guided missile system right now, so we're not really too worried about it, but having the ammo in the shipyard would be helpful. Next, I am going to be selling off all of the subsystems that I'm not using from the shipyard. This is not a drone tutorial, so I'm not keeping any of my drones or any of their little accessories. Anything that's weapon related, however, or armor related, I'm going to keep. So I'm selling all these subsystems I'm not using. I'm getting 23,000 credits for that. Click on deal and you notice the credit count goes up. Trade goods, there's that ammo that I just bought. Obviously I'm going to hold on to it for a minute. And I am actually going to go back over to the store now, and I am going to buy myself a couple new weapons. So we have 4 types of weapons. This first one that we see, the dual turret one, this is pretty much what we already have. Turret number 4, that looks like a kind of a cool look for the particular turret. Then we have the quad guns, which are my personal favorite. I love the range that they have. So I'm going to buy 2 quad guns and 1 turret cannon. Oh, let's make it 2 of these other ones. 2 of these 4 turrets. And I'm going to buy a different hull piece, because obviously the ones I have work, but they don't really work perfectly. So I can go in and I can actually select size 1 or 2 hull pieces. Say I'm not worrying about anything else. And all of these pieces are going to be just hull pieces. So for my uses, I'm going to buy a size 2 center hull. This is kind of to replace the one that I currently have on there. And then I'm also going to buy this little square piece. It's 8,000 credits. I still have a little bit left over, which is nice. I'm just going to go back in, drop off all my subsystems, which I obviously won't be using now. And then I'm going to remove my hull pieces. Going to go back to the hull, and I'm going to click on size 2. So these are the size 2 pieces that I bought. So we now have this guy here. Does not look better. And then we have this guy here. Click, and then put your mouse over top. So that's what he looks like. You might be wondering why I'm going with this approach. It'll just make it easier for me to mount all my guns to it. So we have 2 hull pieces. When I go back to the subsystems, I still have 16 available space, which is awesome. That's the benefit of using the larger size hull pieces. They are able to hold more than the smaller ones. Do keep in mind though, they do weigh more. So you do need to keep that in mind, obviously. Let's go ahead and get our engines put back on and see if we're still going to have enough thrust to be able to move our ship effectively. Engines must face the rear of the ship. That's fine. I'm going to press R until my engine does. I'm going to add those subsystems. So now that I have, we'll say, more mass that I'm already working with, I'm going to be a little bit more careful about my engine subsystems that I'm using. So this first one gives me 950 forward thrust, the second one gives me 1050, the third one gives me 1100. But if you notice, it does adjust the value of the other thrusts that you have on your ship. So keep in mind that just having a ton of forward thrust is not always the best way to go, because if you want your ship to move any direction other than forward, you're going to need the pitch and the side and the roll and the backwards. Those are all going to actually come in very handy for you. So we have our side kind of is weak for us, so I am going to go through now and look at these engine boosters that we have left, and I'm going to grab whichever one has the highest side thrust. So these two both give me 60, which is handy, so that gets it over 200. So yes, my mass is a little bit greater than my side thrust and my pitch. However, it's so much less than my forward thrust that we'll be fine. Let's go ahead and get those weapons put on now. So we have 3 weapon types, and we have a totally different layout now. So we have our first weapon that's just going to fit right here. And I'm actually going to make that one be the beam weapon because it's perfectly centered, so that'll be easy to be able to work with. I'm actually going to put it up here. There we go. Alright, so our beam weapon is up here. Make sure our subsystems are still applied. And yes, our mass is going to go up a little bit more still. On the side of each of these guys, can we put them up here? We certainly can. Alright, so on the far outside, I'm going to use, do I want to use kinetic chain gun or a rail burst? Let's use rail bursts. There's my kinetic chain gun for the other one. Then we have 2 of our quad guns. If you're wondering if my ship is overpowered, the answer is yes. I'll admit it. My ship doesn't really need to be this strong, but it's fun, and it's an easy way to show you guys how it works. So, I've equipped a non-guided missile in the left side here, and a guided system on the right side. So that is how, basically that's how it's all working out. So do keep in mind, if you try to remove or modify any of these hull pieces, it will, first of all, it'll yell at me. If I try to remove them, it'll say that it would reduce it to below minimum capacity for my subsystems I have in it. But if you don't have any subsystems and you remove a hull, anything attached to that hull is going to get pulled with it. So that way you can't have parts that are just floating in the middle of space. Alright, so we made our ship. I'm going to apply color to it by clicking on this color profile stuff at top. I tend to go for the blue tones. It's just kind of how, I don't know, how I kind of operate. So I always go for the blues or the blue-greens. Go with a little bit of black and gray in there so it doesn't look crazy. Alright, there we go. Click on save, and I can launch my ship. Now, something that a lot of people do is, so they launch and then they say, awesome, I want to start shooting. So we'll turn on our manual fire. And if you notice, when I'm clicking, sure, my laser went off, but nothing else did. And you may be wondering why that is. The reason is simple. we applied ammo to the shipyard, but we have not put it on our ship. So go back to your shipyard and open up your inventory. That's where we bought that ammo from the store. Trade goods, and that's how you apply the ammo to your ship. Now if you notice, the initial cargo bay that we have, it only has a capacity of 100, and that's your kinetic ammo. That is it. And you are officially out of space as soon as you put that in. Same thing with adding your guided or your non-guided ballistic. These things take up 20 capacity each. So if you want to have extra, you do need to go to your store, go to your subsystems for your hull, and you need to purchase more cargo bay space. This particular station doesn't have any more cargo space. Not for size 1. We can buy a size 2 though, and that'll get us a couple hundred, which is nice. So I'm going to buy those 2. The reason I said the size 2 is that as you click these boxes, it opens up the higher size tiers, which means that they are larger capacities, a little bit more expensive, but they are going to be able to make our ship carry much more ammo. So I did add those 2 additional cargo bays. Let's go back to our inventory now. There we go, 1100, so we can completely fill our ship up. That's perfect. I'm going to save it again, and I'm going to launch. Now notice instead of it saying, and we need to start moving, instead of it saying infinity or 0, we are actually seeing the quantity of our ammo. I'm getting shot at by a heavy fighter and by, looks like, a destroyer. The heavy fighter I might actually be able to take on. If I press C, I can actually pull up his stats. He's got 2500 shield. I have 500. He's got 15,000 health. I have 4,500. So I'm actually not going to pick on him. I'm in flight. If you want to use your mouse to fly around, you can press V, and your ship is going to follow whichever direction your mouse goes. And again, the more side and pitch thrusts you have, the more responsive it's going to be. If you want to see a crazy responsive ship, go to the, I think it's called the K-Pix Speedy, and it's up on the workshop. Pressing the letter T will turn on and off your kinetic flight mode. If you are using your kinetic flight, that means your ship will behave as though it has gravity. It protects you from projectiles, gets them all slowed down. If you're not using it though, you can go at dramatically higher speeds. I pressed V again to turn off my kinetic flight. Pressing X will turn on manual fire. And now you can see that as we are firing, the ammo count at the bottom here is going down. For everything except for energy, because obviously energy doesn't actually use any kind of ammo. So, now there are things to take into consideration such as fire rates, things like that. Let's get up to this guy here. We'll see how bad he is. Okay, same as the other, but that's alright. For demonstration purposes, I am more than willing to destroy my ship. I right-clicked on his icon and I went to warp within 100 kilometers. So I am warping to him now. And when I come out of warp, I'll be roughly 100 kilometers away. Pretty slick. So you saw it said out of range for a second and then it went away. That's because my laser can technically shoot him at 100 kilometers. And since I started shooting him, notice my relations has changed with his guys by 25. The laser is pretty weak. I mean, it's just chipping through his shield is all it's really doing. But who knows, maybe by the time he gets to me, I'll actually be able to have his shield down to my level. So while I'm shooting him, I can tell you about the keyboard controls. Q and E are your rolls. W and S are going to be your pitch. A and D are going to be your side to side. That's if you don't want to use the mouse flight mode. So it must be 60 kilometers. That's where the Beluga missile is able to start firing. Unfortunately, that is a non-guided missile, so we might hit it, we might not. And at 60 kilometers away, I'm not overly confident that we'll be hitting him. However, pretty soon he's going to get close enough where my Stinger missile system will be able to start shooting at him. And that guy is guided, so that should actually do a little bit better damage for me. And once he's within roughly 20 kilometers, there goes my missiles. That's how they're firing off. So you can see the Beluga's got a straight shot, and then the Stinger's got this zigzaggy kind of system. And the Beluga's firing off on the side. It's obviously not keeping up with him. And now he's close enough for my kinetic ammo to start kicking on. So you'll see his health start to drop. A little bit quicker now. But notice how fast my ammo's dropping. So we have 14,000 to get him down, and I only have 35 rounds of even my Beluga missile left. So once we get to a certain point, the only thing we're going to have left is going to be kinetic, and once that's out, all we'll have left is our laser. Now this guy is almost close enough to me where he's going to start shooting me, so this is when it's going to start getting important to maneuver around. I'm not moving at all right now because it's helping me be able to shoot him consistently. As soon as he's close enough, which again is going to be right around that 20-kilometer mark, we're going to need to be able to start moving. Alright, so now you can see that I'm taking damage as my shield is getting hit. I am moving as fast as I can so that way he can't consistently hit my shield. I'm going to get past him, and then I'm going to rotate my ship. And hopefully I can get my ship rotated faster than he can. There we go. Now he's 70 kilometers away from me. I still have my laser on him. I'm completely out of my guided missiles, so that means I have 24 left of my Beluga and 540 left of my Kinetic. The laser's trying to make contact with him right now, but since my angle was wrong, that's why you just saw the little sphere. It wasn't actually firing forward. Alright, so I'm close enough to him. I do not want to get up to that 20-kilometer mark. So I'm going to turn off my engines so I can buy myself a little bit more time. So I got him down to 10,000. I might actually be able to kill him just with my laser, but the laser does not do hardly any damage compared to the kinetic ammo. So once that's all out, I'm pretty much at his mercy. Alright, I'm going to be out of regular ammo here in a second. Now that I'm down to just Beluga missiles, which I only have 5 of left, and my laser. So this is going to be an excellent example for you guys to see what the laser does. So notice how slow we're taking his health down. 6,450. $6,250. So, I mean, this is going to take us a while to be able to get this guy killed. However, it is possible. It just takes a while, and it takes strategy. And something to keep in mind also is that if we can keep this guy beyond that 20-kilometer range, we can just keep hitting him with the laser pretty much indefinitely. I guess it's kind of like kiting. We're moving away from him. He will catch up to us. I mean, our reverse thrust is only 93 meters per second. It's pretty pitiful. But this will be able to buy us a couple hundred more health against him before he's able to start shooting us. And I'm going to say he's going to start shooting us right about now. So time to move. So I have a few minutes before he gets close enough to actually start killing me again. Our list of fixed items for D10, might as well talk about it, right, while I'm just plugging away at this guy. We had misaligned cube maps, which you didn't really notice unless you were in the sector mode or the galaxy mode. The shared hull subsystem capacity was being miscalculated, so we got that fixed. The faction standing menu has been fixed, so that's this one here. So you click that and you can actually see how you're sitting with these guys. So obviously, like Black Sky, they are not really loving me. Crown to Basilica, they don't really care, that kind of thing. So that's all available to you now. Your weapon manager is this little guy down here, and that's where you actually select what buttons allow you to fire. So if I didn't want my laser to fire when I hit number 1, only when I hit number 2, that's how I would change that up. We have the map, which when you click on that, it opens up the map. And you can see the hostility towards you. So we're actually in a friendly sector. We just happened to find some bad guys that were trying to invade. And then you have the people who are not so friendly towards you. Then you have show ownership, and that's how you can actually see who everyone all is. So after a few more minutes of fighting this guy, I came up with a brilliant idea. I turned on my reverse thrusters, so I was in reverse. I'm still in reverse, technically speaking. You just can't see me because I'm going so slow. But I turned on my reverse thrusters for a minute, and then I turned off my kinetic shield. Ah, really? This guy's gonna die pretty soon. I just have to last long enough. I don't know if I can. Alright, problems. Lots of problems. Really? I don't know how many guys are shooting at me right now. I have one back here. I have that guy there. Come on, go, 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 go. I cannot believe that I have to try to outrun these freaking guys when I had him down to 600 health. Are you kidding me? God, that sucks. So they're out of range for me. That means I'm out of range for them. So hooray, I guess. I knew it was only a matter of time. I mean, as I kept fighting this guy, I was looking at all these enemy ships that were starting to kind of spawn around me. But I was really hoping I would have had time to get that guy killed before these guys came in. Dang it. Alright, well, I guess on the bright side, I didn't die, so there's that. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the shipyard so my ship can get fixed, because that was just... oh, that was sad. My kinetic field generator saved my life. But I didn't have enough ammo to actually do enough damage. So, I need to go buy more ammo, because obviously I'm completely out. So, store, ammo, I'm going to buy everything that they got. This is everything that's in my default store. So I should say that this is based on my sector. It's not based on any other sector. So if I completely wipe these guys out, that doesn't mean I'm completely hosed and I can never get more ammo. It just means I have to go to a different station and buy from them. So we bought more kinetic this time. Bought more guided, more unguided. Obviously, if I had this kind of ammo on me before, and I could afford it. I mean, I could have done it. I had the capacity for it. And I just didn't think I would need it. And that's, honestly, that's on me. That's my bad. Alright, so we got this new guy. We're gonna launch again. We have more ammo, so we're not completely devoid of resources now. There are no bad guys around me currently, right? Oh, and there's our new stations. They're beautiful. I'll fly up for you so you guys can see it. Isn't that trippy? There is no up in space. I hate that phrase. It's true, but I hate it. Pretty. Screenshot. F12 to take a screenshot, by the way, if you ever want to do that. Alright, slow down, slow down, slow down. Turn my kinetic field back on. Rotate my ship. So this is one of the station modules that he set up for us. Again, like I said, the guy is just absolutely brilliant. And as I get closer, you'll be able to see the textures that we actually have in the station. Stop speeding up. So right now I'm pretty much just floating in a free fall. Hello, gravity. And I can dock with the station. Again, this is my default station, so if I dock with it, you're just going to see all the same. So I should be out of kinetic ammo in this station. See? No kinetic. All gone. So that's how, I mean, that's kind of how that works. It's going to ask if I want to overwrite my ship every time I launch it. And look, there are bad guys this time. Damn it. Alright, so what do we have? This guy? Sure, why not? Are there... yeah, my... oh, really? Okay, I got destroyed. Let's try it again, yes? Yes, okay. See if there's any bad guys this time. This is what's fun about a procedurally generated galaxy, though. Every time you come back in, something could have changed. Alright, so I'm going to go somewhere else. My home, if you want to call that, is Okiri. And then we have, what is it, El Copoya? I'm going to call it Chicken. So their asteroid field is under attack. That means there's additional baddies in that area. So I can go there and I can show you guys the asteroids and potentially meet my death. So, asteroid field. I launched. I'm there. Here's our new mining icons. That's kind of fun, right? For the new mining station icons. The mining stations we didn't change anytime recently. Great. Yeah, I'm not sticking around to find out who's shooting at me. I can't see them, but that does not mean that they're not odd. Really? They're somewhere above me. They're back there. They're kind of slow, though. I might be able to outrun them. You can see I'm kind of flying through all this little particly stuff. Alright. So am I done running away from the bad guys? Is that done now? Alright, done running away from the bad guys. I'm going to warp to a mining station. Jeez, I tell ya. I still have a decent amount of ammo left on my ship, so I'm not too terribly concerned. If I get into a fight, it's just that if I get into a fight with something that's bigger than me, I'm in kind of serious trouble, so. You can also manually go into warp by pressing Shift and T, which kind of makes sense if you think about pressing T turns on and off your kinetic field. So Shift T turns on your warp. Just pressing T while you're in warp will turn it off. Bad guy, how far away are you? You're 500 away. And hey, he does not have an awesome shield. I might be able to kill him. Alright, but I'm not going to worry about him right now because I'm actually just focusing on the asteroid because I wanted to show you guys how that works. Turn my head display back on. That's pressing the letter H, by the way, so if you ever want to get like awesome screenshots and you can't figure out how to do it, press H, F12, ta-da, screenshot. Zoom way into your ship, F12 again, hooray! I can upload this ship to the workshop, but there's not really a reason to. I mean, as much as I like having my little career ships, since you can't load them in career mode, if you're playing in creative, I imagine that you, like me, are doing it because you want to have access to all of the parts that we have, which is a much longer list. Alright, so here we go. Asteroid. I'm targeting the asteroid. Why? I don't know. Why not? Hopefully it gets exploded before I hit it. Yay, it exploded before I hit it. I lied. It's not exploded before I hit it. It is really pretty, though. Look at that. Let's jump out of career mode, because I've showed you guys all the career mode stuff. Honestly, this is what we have changed this latest update. Creative mode, which I'm going to have to make a new ship, or a new galaxy. Creative mode, obviously, you do get legitimately unlimited ammo, so you don't actually have to apply ammo to your ship. I'm going to load on basics or Capex Speedy. Capex Speedy. So these are our hard points, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see them a little bit better. So this is how they look. They're actually kind of slick because if I right click and I go to subsystem and I change what weapon it is, looky, it changes. So that's what makes the hard points kind of cool. When you change out what their weapon that's attached to them is, you actually get a different visual representation of what it is, as opposed to the older models of weapons that we have. So the weapons that we have, this is all the old ones. You're used to seeing them. They've been here for forever. But our hard points are at the bottom. So we have 3 different ones. Hard point 1 is this one on the top, where it ends up being kind of like a little cone shape. Hard point 2 is what we have here. And then hard point 3 is this one here where it's this long rectangular shape. And they all have different axes that they can move on.
If you are wondering whether or not we're going to be having more hardpoints and more weapon models coming in, the answer is yes, absolutely. Our artist, who I mentioned before, is hard at work getting more of those created for you guys, and hopefully you'll get to start seeing those as of our next patch, which will be D11, Development 11. This tutorial, again, was brought to you by Badland Studio, and my name is Kpix on the Steam forums. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below, or just come visit us on the Steam discussions and check out Kinetic Void, available as early access through Steam. Thanks so much for watching. You guys have a great weekend.